Welcome to Bilingual Book Buddies. Bilingual Book Buddies is a podcast and webcast dedicated to promoting bilingual books for children and sharing insights from authors, illustrators, editors, agents, and anyone involved in bringing these stories to life. Hi, I'm Claudia Sloan. I'm one of 3 co-hosts of Bilingual Book Buddies. I'm an artist too who also illustrates children's books. I focus on themes of wellness, Latinx culture, life adventures, modern fairy tales, STEAM, and sports. In fact, my latest picture book is a sports picture book, which was a collaboration with my favorite basketball teams, the Phoenix Suns and the Phoenix Mercury. And now I'm happy to introduce my co-hosts, Alicia Salazar and Silvia Lopez.
Hi, I'm Alicia Salazar, children's book author and former teacher. I've written bilingual and English language books for young readers, including the Camilla the Star series, Trolls, Loch Ness Monster, and my recently published picture book, Cascarones, An Easter Surprise. I'm passionate about stories that celebrate culture, spark imagination, and encourage kids to express themselves, especially in more than one language.
Hi, I'm Silvia Lopez. I'm a Cuban-American author living in Miami, Florida. I was a school librarian, media specialist for many years before turning my love of reading into writing for children. I have about 20 books published, mostly bilingual or dual language. And these include picture books, nonfiction, folktale retellings, easy readers, and biographies. And 4 more of my books are coming out in 2026 and 2027. And now I have the privilege of introducing today's guest to our Bilingual Book Buddies podcast. This is Mirelle Ortega. Mirelle Ortega is an award-winning artist and author of children's literature born in Veracruz, Mexico, and based in Los Angeles, California. Her work has received multiple recognitions, including, among others, a 2023 Pura Belpré Award Illustration Honor. She's a prolific illustrator, creating covers and interiors for best-selling middle grade novels and series, chapter books, picture books, and early reader series. Much of her work is on bilingual books or books dealing with Hispanic characters and traditions and culture. Mirelle's work can also be found on TV animation projects for companies like Nick Jr., Imagine Kids, and Pixar. Welcome, Mirelle. Welcome to Bilingual Book Buddies.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
We have some questions to ask Mirelle today, and I have to say that when we were researching everything that we wanted to ask her and all of her body of work, I personally, there's a line in one of her books that says, "Holy guacamole." And that's exactly what I'm saying. Holy guacamole. She is just fabulous. And I think we are going to get a lot of good information and a lot of good insight from Mirelle today. So I'm going to start with the first question. Can you begin by telling our audience a bit about yourself and your journey from growing up in Veracruz to becoming an illustrator and author illustrator in the United States?
Yeah, sure. So I was born and raised in Veracruz. I'm from a very small town, a little agricultural town. My family still lives there, and my grandpa started a business with pineapples, so pineapple fields. So if you've read Magic, maybe you know that because there's a lot of pineapples throughout. Thank you. Um, yeah, so it's like it honestly, I'm gonna preface by saying I am a very optimistic person and I tend to look at the good in things, and which I think also if you've read Magic, you kind of get that sense from me. So probably very romanticized on my end, but I think I had a magical childhood. Like it was great getting to grow up surrounded by friends and family and like a very close-knit community. And I think it's also like I really like I'm interested in a lot of things, but I'm interested in people. Like I like people's stories. I like how they see things. I find that fascinated ever since I was a kid. Like it was so interesting to me being in such proximity with so many people who had like very different, distinct points of view. And I think that definitely shows in a lot of my work and in a lot of my life. But yeah, I loved growing up in a place so small. Like it was like it was very like I remember the first like traffic light that went up. Like the first time we got like a door that opened by itself. It was crazy. And it was great. It was also like a very like diverse place because there was like some there's like an Italian population. There was like one of the doctors was Japanese. It was like a very interesting, diverse place to grow up in. And I honestly, to me, that just felt very normal. But now having like been grown and like talked to other people's experience of growing up in small places, that's not always the case. And honestly, it was like one of my friends from art school when I eventually came to art school in America. One of my friends came to visit me back home. And she was just like on the street, just looking around. She's like, I totally get your work now. Like, just like, yeah, the colors, the people, like, okay. Yeah. Like, she's like, I get it. Which really opened my eyes to like that sort of thing, like, which like you really do like create things in the context of the world that you've known, which is such an interesting thing. But yeah, I grew up there. I went to high school in a nearby town. So I like was living outside of my house by the time I was 15, which was an interesting, very interesting experience. And then I went to college in north of Mexico. I went to college in Monterrey. I had a scholarship. I went to Tec de Monterrey and I got a BA in 3D art and animation. And it was also really cool to also get to know also like just a different part of the country. And like it was a very diverse campus, so people coming from all over the country. It's really cool, really good experience. Then I moved to Mexico City. I lived in Mexico City like maybe 2 years. I was working as an illustrator in a platform, in the digital platform. And then I got a scholarship to go to grad school. And that's how I kind of came to the US. I came to do a master's degree in Academy of Art in San Francisco, which is a school that I had seen like in passing. When I was in college, I did a student exchange program. And I got to go to UC Berkeley to do like a couple classes for the summer. And so I was like going to San Francisco and I saw the school and I was like, oh my God, that looks so, so beautiful. So when I got the chance to actually go, I was like, of course. And I wanted to, you know, work on my craft and just, I always was interested in illustrating books and like doing things with arts and writing since I was very little. Like, I think my mom and my grandpa were huge readers. And so I had a lot of respect for the profession, even growing up, because I knew like people that are very important to me think that is a great profession and that people need to be very smart and cool to be able to do it. So I thought that was like a really cool aspiration to have. But I honestly hadn't really thought about like I don't think I did a lot of the moves in my life thinking how am I gonna get there? Like I was just kind of like trying to be happy and like you know trying to work towards it, but it wasn't like you know step one, step two, because it felt like a very big dream, especially because I never really thought I was going to move here. Like it was like it kind of happened in a way. Um and yeah, then kind of like that period that we're still living in, that era of my life of being an adult and living in a different country has been also very interesting and very eye-opening to things that I didn't even know I didn't know. Um, and yeah, that's kind of how I got here. I started working right after my program. It was kind of like, it was kind of luck, to be honest. Like I went to like a talk in an animation congress. So not a congress, but like a it's called CTN. I think they still do it every November. in Burbank. So it's like an animation conference, and they do like talks. And there was there an artist from Pixar, I think, who was transitioning into doing children's books. And so he and his agent gave this talk about, you know, just basically the industry of picture books, which was not something I was familiar with at that time. And he was basically like, yeah, you can email an agent and become an illustrator. And I was like, oh, let me do that. Like, oh, sure. I mean, because, I like, you gotta try. Like, let them tell you no, but don't tell yourself no. You gotta try. You gotta send the email. You gotta do it. And so I did. And I was very lucky that my agent that I'm still with wanted to represent me. And then we also got lucky because Ana Meriano, who's the writer of Love, Sugar, Magic, used to follow me on Twitter, where I used to put my art up. Um, I'm not really, there's no Twitter anymore, but I'm still at Instagram. But yeah, she used to follow me, and I think she had just gotten the deal to be writing Love, Sugar, Magic, and it was a 3-book deal for a middle grade series. And when they asked her if she had any ideas for the illustrator of the cover, she put my name down. So that's kind of how I got my first gig in the industry, which was really great. I owe her everything, to be honest. But yeah, I was kind of it's been kind of like a process step by step. Um, and it's been a lot of just being open to things and trying to prepare for things, like honing your craft and trying, taking feedback, just kind of like going off of it and trying, just mostly trying.
Mirelle, that's a perfect answer. And I already have two quotes. I already have written down two quotes from what you said that I think are going to inspire other people. And it is so correct what you're saying that, we go this way and this way and this way and this way, but we keep trying. And
Yeah.
one day it takes us in one direction. And who knows, in some years it takes you another direction. But you're doing wonderfully. Thank you for that wonderful answer. So I'm going to
I'm
pass it
gonna, I'm
on
gonna,
to,
I'm gonna add a comment
oh,
before
go
with the
ahead. I'm
next
sorry,
question, but
Glenn.
and this is mostly for our audience because Sylvia's talking about quotes, and I love your philosophy, being open and prepared to opportunity. I think those are very
Yeah.
important ingredients for anyone in any career, really, but in this field particularly, because you really never know what's going to come. And every path, I mean, we've interviewed more than, I don't know, 17, 18, 19, 20 people here.
Yes.
Every single path is so different. So if you're not open for the opportunities, and also prepare, by working on your
Yeah.
craft, by getting ready every day, doing every little thing. I mean, even little things for illustrators like Inktober. I'm doing the Inktober right now. I do it every year. But every little thing matters. So being open and prepared for opportunity. I hope those are two things that help some of those who
Yeah.
are in the beginnings. Alicia.
Okay, next question. Your pride in your heritage is very evident in the books you've illustrated as well as in those you have written yourself. Were there experiences that were unique to your upbringing which you feel influenced your art and storytelling?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think everything, in my opinion, has deeply, deeply impacted my art and the way that I approach things. Um, like also like I wanted to talk a little bit about like being bilingual because I think it's interesting. I started learning English when I was in kindergarten. And it was like really very basic, like very, very, very basic, like azul blue, amarillo yellow. But I loved the idea of speaking in different languages. Like I was obsessed. I think I was a very annoying kid because like for a while I was really just saying every word that I knew into languages. Like I will go and be like, Mom, this is rojo red. Because
Did
I
you
thought,
watch Dora the Explorer?
I did.
Yes, yes.
You were the Mirelle the Explorer.
I was before Dora because like I think that came out and I was already kind of aged out of that.
Okay, okay.
I would have loved it. No, I would have loved it. But like I do think like I love language so much. In my family, my mom speaks English because my grandpa was really into that too, like weirdly. Like my grandpa only went to like second, maybe third grade in school, and then he started working and like farming and like fields and stuff like that. And he loved learning. Like he was like a lifelong learner. Like he had so many books. He was so interested in things. He purchased an English like course on the mail. So he would get things on the mail to learn English because he wanted to travel. Like he loved traveling. He traveled through America. He just like loved it. Um, and so he really wanted his kids to be bilingual like which is I think like visionary for the time. Like be like
Yes,
not only your kids but your daughters. You wanted your daughters to
yes,
speak English.
yes.
And so I think for my mom, she also really enjoyed it. So like she figured that I would. I loved it. Like I one of my earliest memories in life is I think we went to a wedding in Canada, I think when I was like very little. Um like maybe I was like 3 or 2. Like I think this might be my earliest memory. And I remember that listening to other people speak in English. And I remember that my mom was like, when you bump into someone, you need to say, excuse me. Like, like in Spanish, you explained to me to say the word excuse me. And I remember just bumping into people just so I could say it. Because and just like that's the worst time you've like that's the most misbehavior that I got from you that time because you really wanted to use your word and I remember like being like this is so great. So
Hey,
I
you
think
you were already practicing the being open to opportunity and being prepared. That's why
That's
your
right,
right.
opportunity is to
I was
practice.
trying.
Excuse me.
So I
Lovely.
something that I like absolutely love of doing bilingual books or books that have been translated or books that have words in Spanish. And I think now they're more like even the last book that I have with Gabriela Orozco-Belt, which is called I Am Yo Soy, that is considered not a bilingual book, but like a dual lingual book because it's written in both languages and it tells different parts of the story in different languages, which I think it's really cool. Yeah, so I love that because I know there are kids like me who just love the idea of speaking in different languages. And like that's who I'm like mostly like feel like that's my audience. Like if you are excited about learning a second language, that is great. And you should because it is so cool and it's also so doable. I think there has been traditional like a stigma of like learning a second language is hard or like you'll never be proficient enough in another language like you maybe be able to say some words but that's not true like there's billions of people that speak like there's not billions of people but there's a lot of people who speak two languages proficiently and it's really like it's a thing. I
You
wish it
travel
was harder.
to any European
Yeah,
country,
yeah.
any European country, and even Asia at this moment, but especially Europe, you travel anywhere and no one is monolingual. Nobody is monolingual. I mean, you will find people even in small towns, and somebody will speak, if they don't speak English, which is the normal, but they will speak two languages, Italian and German, German and French. And for in the United States, that has been kind of a no-no
Mhm.
for years. And a lot of parents hesitated, even bilingual parents hesitated because there was that notion that if a child learned a second language at the beginning, they would get confused. That has been dispelled. So I'm glad that you brought that up, Mire. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
keep going.
No,
You're
no, no.
doing great.
No, no, no. I totally agree. I think for a long time it's been like thought of as like something that you don't want your children, but why wouldn't you want your children? Especially like there's been so many studies about how language shapes the way you see the world. And it really does. And it really helps you understand other people when you can understand their language, but not like also like just understanding where they're coming from. Like even just like English, I think it's exciting that it's like an language that doesn't have genders for everything. Where Spanish, there is genders for everything, which I also think is beautiful, but it's interesting, like what happens when, I don't know, maybe in German the word, I don't know, bridge is feminine. Like how do you see a bridge that is feminine inherently versus how do you see a bridge that it's masculine? And I think it is such an interesting thing and such a way to like just open up your understanding of the world.
I think it might have something to do with exposure too, because like in Texas, when I was a kid, everyone spoke English, but now American Texans want their kids to learn Spanish because there are so many Spanish speaking people and it's all around you. If you are never exposed to it, then you're not interested in learning. But once you start hearing somebody and you want to know what they're saying, like my nieces and nephews, they want to know what their parents are saying, so they were motivated to learn English.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
And
makes
that is
you
the premise of our entire being. This is the reason why we have these podcasts. Alicia came up with the idea, and Claudia and I joined in because that is the entire premise. What you've just mentioned and what Alicia has followed up with is the entire idea of us being here today, at this moment on Zoom, recording you and your answers, because we are all of that mind. We are all believers in what you just said and what Alicia just said. And it's just so important. So Mirel, yes, wonderful. That was a great answer. Another great answer.
And,
So
and,
we
and
got
thank
two great
thank you for
answers.
saying it, because that's something I think that the kids need to hear early on. That is a positive thing. It's a good thing.
yeah.
So the more you say it, the more the more kids hear it, the more they will truly be convinced that, oh, it's a good thing, it's a positive thing. I'm gonna try it and I can do it.
Yes,
That kind of
we can
thing.
do it. Yes. Okay, so we're going to pass it on to Claudia. She has the third question.
Yeah, so you have illustrated a wide range of children's books, from biographies that deal with struggle for equality, all the way to topics of fairness, and to those that portray Latinos from various groups. So tell us a little bit about the research process that you follow in order to stay faithful to the story you are bringing to life.
Yeah, that's a great question. It really depends on the book. Like when I do, like for example, with Free to Learn, which is biography, we were very lucky because the family had been in contact with the author and they sent us some pictures of everyone, and that was very, very helpful. Into like there's still like, of course, like a representation. It's not like a direct portrait of what they look like, but we're trying to get everyone kind of like the vibe. And I did a lot of, in this book, I did like a lot of book about 70s clothing because it happens during the 70s. And you kind of wanted to like kind of like have the vibe of the era in it, and how they dress and how they wear, their hairs. And even in the places where like even when we're trying to be kind of like also symbolic in a way so like kids can understand, oh, this is cool, like you can't go like too crazy on how you represent things even if you're trying for a lot of like accuracy. Like you also need to make sure that kids will read and see it and understand it. So that's kind of, I think, a part that is a little bit tricky, like where to like just kind of like let go of the accuracy a little bit in favor of making it very accessible for people. Um, but I love the research part of it. Like I love like looking at pictures and like kind like I'm a curious person. I like watching documentaries. I like, just like knowing things about things. And for like books like Pepe, like when you're showing, like um I really I think I'm lucky. I grew up on the internet. And so I have friends from different parts of the world. I like asking people like for specifics, like, oh, like what kind of dress do you wear? And if not just Googling, like trying, looking at the forums, like what people think about things. I really do try my hardest to represent cultures in a way that feel authentic and real. I think have been from Mexico and coming from Mexico, I understand how sometimes like representation doesn't really match what we think of our country because it also we're not a monolith. So like one person represented in a book cannot speak for a whole country. But you're always trying to make sure that you're trying to put things there that at least feel like authentic to one person.
Thank you. Thank you, Mirelle. All right, I have the next question. I absolutely just I don't want to add any more because you've said it all. But you have in children's books especially, you represent as best you can.
Yeah.
You represent the norm that is the general norm, and that's all you can. Otherwise, you are writing an encyclopedia, and that's not what we want. But in your illustrations, you have captured, the essence, especially that one with Pepe and the Parade. And you have a new one coming up too about Pepe, so we'll talk about that later.
And I just got
Okay. Oh, okay, good. All right, Pepe and the Piñata, you just got that one. That's your latest.
Oh, you're
Okay,
gonna have to
great.
give us a quick preview
Yes, yes,
for our
yes.
audience.
Tell us a little bit about Pepe and the Piñata right now. Oh, look at the piñatas,
Very
my
similar
goodness.
to Pepe and the Parade, but now we're dealing with holiday traditions, which was really cool because a lot of this I didn't know. And I was intrigued and awed and just like
Ooh,
food.
beautiful. When does this come out?
This one comes out October 28th. So
Yay, pretty
It's around the corner, right? That's beautiful. I love it.
I love piñatas. We do piñatas at my house for Christmas every year. We go from the youngest to the eldest to hit it. We usually don't make it to me, but that's fine.
Wow, that is lovely. Look at that.
It's
Yeah, it is
beautiful.
really such a fun book.
Oh, I love the piñata colors.
It's
I had a
beautiful.
lot of fun.
Gorgeous.
Thank you
Okay,
for the
so
preview.
it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. I have the next question, and it's about the book behind me here, and it's your recent award-winning picture book magic, Once Upon a Faraway Land, is about change and transformation. It's a little bit of a metaphysical book, I would say. Can you share with us what inspired you to write this story? It's in English and Spanish. I have the Spanish, you have shown the English, but can you tell us what inspired you to write this particular story? There it is.
Yes. So, okay. No, when I'm trying to think if I should go chronologically with this. No. Okay. So, I like I mentioned, I post my art online, and at some point, someone from a publishing house saw an illustration that I did, and it was a pineapple field. It was an illustration I did when I was in grad school, and it actually got to the spring show, and I was so proud of it. I'm still extremely proud of it. And it's like a pineapple field, and there's people picking up pineapples. And so I also went kind of viral on Twitter, and everyone was fighting on the comments and which place in Mexico this was. And I'm like, you guys can decide. I'm not gonna fight with anyone online. Um, and so someone asked my agent, like, is there a story attached to this illustration? So my agent came to me, my agent is British, and he was like, is there a story attached to this? I was like, well, only the story of my life, because this is about my home. Because I grew up, I don't know if you knew this, but I grew up very close to pineapple fields because my family has pineapple fields. And he was like, that's fascinating. Let's write something. He's like, great, you have something to write about. Let's write something and try to pitch it. And at that point, I had been trying to pitch a picture book, a different picture book that I was working with him. And I was like, kind of trying to, which actually kind of like is the base of River of Mariposas, but not really. But that was like the idea, also inspired by the same idea But then I went and I was like, okay, I need to write a book about my home. And uh like I remember like many, many, many years ago when I was a kid, we went on this holiday to Cancun actually. And it was like we were all my whole family went. It was like I think the only holiday that we took and it was all of us. And I remember that I was with my grandpa. My grandpa was like walking ahead of everyone all the time. Everyone else was in the back and I was with my grandpa. And we were like looking, I think my grandma was trying to get something, and she was like, my grandma was a charismatic lady. Like she could get anything. So she was trying to smoosh her way into something. And my grandpa and I were just looking at her. And I had at that point written like a story for school that my mom had loved and told everyone. And she was like, she's so good. She's a good writer. We did it, guys. And so I remember my grandpa like turned to me and he was like, "You should write about us." And I know what he meant. Like it was like we are a funny bunch. We're kind of crazy and we're very interesting. Um, and and I really thought about it. Like I was like I agree. I think there's something here. I think there's material. Um, but that was that, and that was like I was maybe like 12, maybe. And then so when the idea of writing about it came about, I thought about that and I was like, okay, but like how? Like there's like, do I tell your story? Do I tell my story? Do I tell like whose point of view I'm following? Who's my character? Like how do I get into this like story? And I was having a really hard time because I was like, I cannot put my home into a story. Like it will have to be 500 pages. Like how is it going to be a picture book? Um, and then I was like, I was having a really hard time and I was like, you know what? Like kind of just imagine like, okay, if like my 6-year-old self walked to me right now and told me like, tell us about our life, like what would I said? And I just literally, that's what I wrote. Like I just wrote like magic thinking how would I would explain to my 6-year-old self everything that's happened. Um, and just kind of wrote it. I wrote it on paper. I think I have it somewhere over here. I wrote on paper. And it came out more of like a poem, which is very different to the other book I was showing my um agent because my experience of writing up until that point was more to do with animation and script writing. So that's a very action-driven type of writing, and this was so completely different. Like this was more like a poem. Like I really do describe it as like looking at the pond of my life and just grabbing a little bit of water and just putting it in a piece of paper, and that's how it felt. And I was like, this is very different, but I'm gonna send it to my agent because I like it. Like I think this is really good. And maybe he'll tell me I'm crazy, and then I'll move on and I'll write something else. And then that's it. Once again, you don't count yourself out. Don't tell yourself no. Like maybe someone else will tell you no, but you don't have to. You don't have to limit yourself from the start. So I went to my agent and I showed him the manuscript and he was like, I actually really like it. And I was like, oh my God, great. And we worked a little bit on it. But it really ended up so close to what I originally wrote. And then we were very lucky because the people at Cameron Kids who bought the book, I thought understood it perfectly. And I was so happy to go into making it, just feeling like, the idea was going to be like taking care and like taken seriously. I think that was the question.
That was the question. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And now we're going to move on to the next book, which is with Alicia's going to ask you about River of Mariposas, which is another, oh my goodness, another beautiful book.
Okay, so one of your latest books, River of Mariposas, is partially based on a true story. Could you tell us a little bit more about the events that inspired this beautiful book?
Yes, absolutely. So River of Mariposas, my second book. Oh, so- um, So it's inspired by a real life event that I had been kind of saving in my pocket for a really long time because I thought it was such an interesting and positive experience. So like it is inspired of a real there was a tropical storm, I think, or hurricane in Veracruz, and it changed the migration pattern of some butterflies, and the butterflies ended up coming through town instead of wherever else they go through. So, like, I remember I was just getting, I think I was maybe in college. I don't remember where I was, but I was coming back from somewhere, and I came in a plane, and it was at the time, it was like the tiny airport where you came out like on the tarmac. And so I remember like they opened the plane and I came out and there was like so many butterflies. There's so many butterflies, like beautiful yellow butterflies everywhere. And I just thought like, oh my God, like so magical. And I remember like on the drive home, I was telling my dad, like, that's crazy. And he was like so in awe. And the next day on the papers, they printed some butterflies on top of the paper, like on the top of the headlines. And the paper basically was saying that people from all town just stopped what they were doing and like stopped working and just went to see what was happening with the butterflies. And I remember thinking that that was so beautiful. And it was also so unexpected. Like I felt like I was in a scene of 100 Years of Solitude. Like it was so magical, in a way that, Latin America is. Like, and I just like thought also how interesting it was that this had been brought about by a negative experience, which is the fact that there was a tropical storm, a hurricane, and the way everything was linked. Like you never know what is going to bring you like a magical moment in your life. And I really, for the longest time, I thought that was such a great story to tell. Um, and I think it kind of resonated with me. It was so very magical. And like in a way that was also real, like this happened. So that was kind of the inspiration and the event that inspired the book. And I really wanted the book to feel that way. And it's kind of like a different also art style and magic because I wanted it to kind of resonate with like the butterflies and kind of like having it be like a little bit more like airy in a way. So it was a really fun project to work on. I also, because I wanted to very distinctively separate the paper butterflies in the book from like the real butterflies, I also ended up doing a lot of them in actual paper and putting them like digitally into the book, which I thought was like a different thing of my process that I had never done. So it was like very rewarding and all. And I just love the idea of telling the story of like this thing that you really want and working for it. And sometimes it doesn't work out. But then sometimes out of nowhere, something that you thought ruined your day actually made it so much better.
The light
that's a
at the end of
beautiful
the
sense.
tunnel there.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
love
like
that.
I said, I'm very positive.
Yeah, well, I love that because you're illustrating with well, I mean, you're illustrating in the book, but with how you approach it, there's something negative can be turned into a positive, and all of us go through times in life where we get a little bit of negative things happening, and it's I feel like it's a message, or at least for me, I'm an optimistic, so at least for me, I always try to find the positive on everything. And I find it, at least across my life, I've always found that there always is
Yeah.
something. You just have to look for it and have to change your perspective sometimes, or and so forth. So thank you for that.
No, absolutely. And I think also I like the idea of this um thing that maybe because there is a lot of narratives of people being able to turn a negative into a positive. Like my teacher told me that I couldn't do it, so like that gave me the fire to turn it into a positive. But there are also things that happen that you have no control over.
Control. Oh yeah.
And And those things can also become a positive, like even without you having to work for it or do anything. Like sometimes it's just a matter, it's a waiting game, you know, to,
Exactly.
to like wait out the storm to see what happens the next day.
Yeah. And sometimes during the struggle of these things that you cannot control, you learn something about yourself, or you
Yeah.
grow in some way, you change in some way, that then it becomes, it creates a string that you can utilize later to create that positive. So there's, different ways to approach it, but I think it's, I mean, it's just part of life. If I always tell that when I get asked, it's like about. The challenges in life and stuff like that. It's like, well, life would be really, really boring if we had, like absolutely, if everything was just beautiful, happy for everybody 100% of the time. So, anyways, aside from that topic, but I have the next question. So, bilingual books are becoming more available, but the need is still great. What changes in publishing do you think might better support bilingual and multicultural stories?
Oh, I like that question. I think just I think maybe this is a basic answer, but I think just like trusting your audience. Like I think sometimes publishing need to put some trust in the fact that kids will understand. Like, you don't have to hold their hands through absolutely everything. Like sometimes they will read a word maybe, and maybe you don't need to put a direct translation on it. Like they will get it. Like you need to trust that context will be strong enough that they will start learning in a way that is kind of organic.
I love that. Don't underestimate their intelligence,
Yeah.
right? That's a an important thing to remember for anybody writing or doing anything for young audiences.
Yeah. And maybe for writers, maybe don't worry so much about making it didactic in a way that it's so proper. Like, because some people have that ability, some people have the background to be able to create books that are didactic in a way that is very like academic. But if that's not you, that's fine. Like you can bring something else.
Everybody has their strength.
Yeah.
He has their strength, and I think the importance. I think people are drawn to authenticity,
Mhm.
and they can tell. Even little kids can tell in a split second if that's not available in whatever they're reading or consuming or whatever. So yeah, that's the most important thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're the toughest audience. They are the toughest audience because they will see right through you. They will see if you're just publishing, if you're just writing something to get this on paper and get it into a book, and they'll see it and they won't like it. They won't like it.
Yeah.
But when they like something, maybe not everybody else does, but you're going to find an audience somewhere that of children that are going to enjoy what you're writing. Great, wonderful. All right, next question. What advice would you give to an aspiring author illustrator? And you already answered a little bit of this, but especially those who are working on bilingual or bicultural books. You already answered a little bit, so maybe just expand on it.
I think definitely expanding on the fact, the authenticity factor of it. Like I think there is like uh like something alive in a book that it's like from you. And I think that's the thing that you need to find, like something that resonates with you, that you like, that it speaks to you or to your inner child or to some part of you, and then it will speak to other people. Like also, I feel like there's some people that think that they cannot write something that's already been written about. Like, oh, there's already a story about that. I don't, I'm not gonna do that. And so, but why? Like, if it's coming from you, it will be different. It will touch on different things. So why not try? Why not, like, maybe it won't work, but why not try to say the thing that you're trying to say? Um, and also like to say, very open to feedback. Like I know it's hard sometimes, especially some people get really attached to the thing they're writing and their work. And I think it's okay to remember that you will make more work that will be better because you have had time to practice and you have had time to live through different things. So it's okay if someone doesn't like it, it's okay to also let yourself think, what are they saying? And does that make sense? Would taking this advice make me a better writer? Like, I think that's also important.
Wonderful answer.
I'm just going to add the one that you said before, just to recirculate it again for our audience. But don't tell yourself no. Let others tell you.
I wrote that down.
That's that's actually a philosophy I lived by for many years, but I didn't come up with it. I had one of my mentors early in my career. My background is in engineering and engineering management, um, and one of the things she shared with me once was like, "Hey, Claudia, there's a long, long, long file. I mean, line of people." Lining up to beat you up. Don't beat yourself up. So different words, but it means the same thing. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I had to do a lot of these high visibility meetings and things like that, and I would, oftentimes criticize myself for that myself, which is natural, right? But sometimes a little too much. And but that's the concept. It's like don't make yourself an obstacle. Don't limit yourself. And
Yeah.
you said it earlier, but I wanted to just repeat it because I think it's a very important message for anybody starting out or even at any level in career. I think is good.
Yeah, I think so. Like, don't let the fear that you're going to do something, you're going to make something bad stop you from trying. Like, no one has to see it at the end of the day. Like, if you have an idea, just write it. Like, it won't hurt you to put it out there. It will only make you better. Like, I had a teacher in grad school that used to say, we all have tons of bad drawings inside of us, but we need to get them out to get to the good ones. And that's true of everything. Like, just give it a try.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm going to add to what you said about people who are afraid of, and they say, that's already been done. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. You know what? If you look at the works of Shakespeare, a lot of them are based on things that were already there. Look at Disney. I mean, Disney has taken fairy tales that were gazillions of years old and has spun a new twist on them. And where is Disney, right? So, as long as it's fresh and as long as it's yours and you enjoy writing it, you can almost see people enjoying reading it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all it takes. We also take for granted that children know everything.
Yeah.
But just we as adults, we know we have a background on a lot of things that they never even heard of. To them, it's new. So, don't be afraid. And I think you said it very well. We're afraid sometimes and we beat ourselves up and say, no, that's been done. That's not going to fly because somebody else has already done it. So that's not true as writers and as authors and illustrators. Okay, so let's see, Alicia.
Um, are there some specific themes or messages in your work that you hope will resonate with bilingual children and families?
Oh, um, I think I just hope that they feel seen and that like maybe give them permission to romanticize their life a little bit and then think, this is pretty cool. Being able to speak into languages is pretty cool. And there's other people like me. And, you know, you can, I don't know. When I started illustrating, it's not like I was like, I only want to do like things for Hispanic audiences, but I do want to do things that resonate with myself. Like, I feel like that's what authors have and illustrators have been doing this entire time. Like, the person who wrote, I don't know, Winnie the Pooh, it was very British. He wasn't trying to censor himself so that it could be, like an universal story. Like it was like, it is British. So, that's kind of my thinking. Like, oh, okay, River of Mariposas is in Mexico. Like, that just sometimes it happens.
Right. We have a saying in Mexico, zapatero a tus zapatos. Stick to what you know, write what you know. And
Yeah.
you hear that often too for authors. It's like, write what you know. Usually those are, if you write from your heart and write from what you know, you can't go wrong.
Right.
And I understand it's hard, like, because when all the media that you've been presented does not look like you and doesn't speak to your experience, it's easy to confuse that with thinking, oh, only this media gets made, like nothing else, no other stories get told. So I shouldn't even try, or it's not going to sell, again, like just because it's not out there doesn't mean it shouldn't, doesn't mean you cannot make it.
And
Exactly.
also, I think what you said, you have to you feel seen, and that is absolutely true. But also the fact that every story has its universal message, whether you make it in one way or you make it another way, but every story has its underlying philosophy and a message. You may say it with children who are, that look Hispanic. You may also say it with a child that looks Asian if the message is there. The
Yeah.
child does not differentiate very much. We differentiate. Adults, we grow a little bit more bigoted and a little bit more prejudiced as we get older. But children do not. And what they're looking for is the kernel of the story that resonates with them. And so, but you are absolutely right. We have not done enough in books up to now in books with children for children who look a little bit different. Now we're also beginning to acknowledge disabilities, all kinds of LGBTQ, all kinds of things that are out there, and children would like to see, would like to know. As long as the story is a good story and grabs their attention and is well written and is written from the heart. So very nice, very good, an illustrator from the heart as you do.
And with
All right.
that, I'll wrap us up with the very last
Yes.
question of today's interview. Can you share with us some of your upcoming projects that, what you're working on right now for next year or whenever?
So this year I had a busy year because I had Mamiachi and Me came out,
Yay!
and I Am Just Soy also came out this year. And now we have Pepe and the Piñata that's coming out super
Yay!
soon. And these are all books that I was so delighted to work on. I like love picking projects that make me feel something because I am a very emotional illustrator. Like I more than showing you something, I want to make you feel something because that's what I enjoy about art. So I think that's what I want to put out there. So these are all books that when I read, I didn't cry reading Pepe and the Piñata, but it was very exciting because this was a world that I've been to before. So it's very cool to just be back. I thought that was really cool. But I did cry reading I Am Yo Soy and Mamiachi and Me because I thought it was beautiful. And I like beautiful things. But yeah, and then I have Oliva Polonia coming next year, which is a book about it's a great book. It's Patti Prebo Cisnero Prebo. Um, wrote it. She is a Paralympic athlete. She's played basketball for the US in the Paralympics, and it's amazing. I love the book, also cried reading it. A very beautiful book. Like you said, it's good to also showcase kids with different abilities. And I was so, so happy that they picked me to illustrate this. And Sylvia and I have a book coming out.
Yay! Yay!
Called Paz de Tamales.
Yes. Pasta Tamales is coming out in summer 2026. I believe it's in the summer.
I believe too.
How
Well, I
exciting.
just wanted to interject something. The two books that Gabby's very excited about, and she spoke about, I Am, Yo Soy, and what was the other one that you mentioned that's coming out besides Pepe? And it came
Mamiachi.
out. No, Mamiachi and Me. It already came out. Those two authors are in our bilingual book buddies interviews.
Oh, yes.
So we have talked to Gabby Belt, and we have
Jolene.
Jolene coming up.
coming up.
Jolene coming up. So the three of us sit here in awe of everybody that appears on this podcast because we learn, we appreciate, and we just really are absolutely marveling at all of the ideas and the creativity and the passion that all of you, Mirelle today, everybody that we interview, has for a craft we all love.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. You know, we're not here talking about cooking or, we're talking about children's books and bilingual children's books in specifically, which we all love. So we're learning from all our guests. And we certainly hope that everybody watching our podcast will also learn. Today's Mirelle Ortega was fabulous.
Absolutely
So
fabulous.
I'll let Claudia close here.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Mirelle, for everything. But we're not ready to go yet. We do have a round of rapid fire questions. These are 3 questions we're going to ask of you, and we ask of every guest in a podcast. And just answer whatever comes to mind first, 90 seconds or less, very quickly. So the first one was one fact about you that even your biggest fans might not know.
I don't know.
You can do it.
I really like rollerblading. I think
Awesome. I didn't know that. See, and I'm
I
your
know
biggest
that.
fan. Yay.
Rollerblader. Okay.
Hey, I
All
rollerbladed
right.
too
I
as a young person. I used
I'm
to be
not
on the
like
team.
good at it or anything. I just I can only get myself from one point to the next, but I like it.
Hey, that's how I started. And you know, it's whatever you make with it. I was even in a team and we did competitions and why not?
Oh my
So,
God,
Oh,
no.
Claudia.
but this
And
is
she has
back
a great
many
place
years
to
ago.
rollerblade. She was
Alicia?
talking about she has a great place to rollerblade. She was talking about like the boardwalk, like in Santa Monica and Venice Beach. And
I go to the Venice Beach.
there's
They
no
have
better
this
place to
path.
roller.
Yes,
Wow.
and I
Is
do
that the one
get
where Barbie and Ken rollerbladed?
yes,
Oh, I
and
love
I
that
do
movie.
get the Barbie rollerblades, and so I do
Oh
go with my Barbie rollerblades on Venice,
Do you
and
wear
I get
pink?
kids
Do you wear pink? And
sometimes, yes, and I
yay!
do get kids being like, "Mom, those are the Barbie rollerblades."
Oh, that is awesome.
That is so cute. That is so cute. That was a very good thing that nobody knew about you. Very few
My
people know
inner
about you.
child would
Your
be
inner child. That's great.
screaming
That's
from the
great.
rooftops.
That's great. Okay, I have the second rapid fire question. If others were to describe you in 1, 2, or 3 words, what would those words be?
Okay. Probably funny would be one of the words. Maybe weird would be another word. Uh, maybe I hope hardworking.
Yes. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely. Okay, Alicia.
Last question. What book or books have had the most impact in your life?
I love the books of Gabriel Garcia Marquez. So, 100 Years of Solitude, my favorite book of all time. And we were talking a little bit before the interview started about books. And I was telling Alicia that I kind of read around it for a little bit because it was like a big book, and I was like in high school, and I was like, I don't know if I want to read that big of a book. And my mom was like, it's a good book. So I think this is the right way to do it. Like read the other books, like the short books, the short stories. El coronel no tiene quien le escriba, La candidera de su abuela desalmada, all of the little ones, and then read 100 Years of Solitude. And then it's like you're like, oh, it's a multiverse. Because he references a lot of his other books in this one. So if you read the other ones and then read this one, you're like, oh, Oh, that guy. I know that guy.
I love that tip. That's an awesome tip for especially for reluctant readers.
Yeah, go with
It's
the
like that
short
whole,
ones.
there's a
Get yourself
saying.
and my favorite of the short ones is Chronicles of Death Foretold. Crónicas de una muerte anunciada.
Oh
That's
yeah.
my favorite. It was one of my favorite. When I read it, I was like, this blew my mind.
Well, I leave my 2 cents here. How do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
Exactly, one bite at a time. So a big, big novel like that, one little piece at a time. That's wonderful. Thank you so much,
We're gonna
Mirelle.
get in trouble with all the nature and
Don't
all
eat elephants.
the animal
Oh,
people
no,
are no.
we
It
do
was a
not
joke,
eat elephants.
folks.
It was a
Joke,
joke.
just a
Thank you,
joke.
Sylvia.
This is a metaphorical elephant.
Yes. Yeah, let's don't eat elephants. All right. Well, thank you so much. And thank you to our audience and Sylvia and Alicia. Any last remarks, any last words before we close?
No, just thank you for coming. It was really fun seeing all your books and talking to you. And thank you for coming.
And
Thank you for having
ditto.
me.
Absolutely the same sentiment here.
In the next episode, Jolene Gutierrez.